All right, so Kynlee is continuing learning to heel with me. This video is kind of a compilation of a good little bit of time between clips and a few days of training kind of separated up here. So this session, we are still working in the yard. I'm starting to add in corrections to the heel. My corrections are just little leash pops kind of thing. It's not, it's not going to hurt her or anything. You can see in the video when I correct her that they're very mild. It's easy to kind of overcome. And I really do think corrections in dog training are very, very helpful for teaching our dogs what the right answer is and what the wrong answer is as well. So we can really clearly define those boundaries and give our dog more confidence in the behavior, as well as make the behavior itself nice and strong and reliable, which is what we want when we want to go out and walk our dogs and not have to play back day every day that we put the leash on, your freaking traps start burning. But she's doing really, really good. There she just kind of got on the wrong side, so you can see I'm giving her little leash taps and trying to help her. So she's kind of unsure. She goes into the sit, so I keep backing up and then I help her there with the food and reward her once she gets back into that heel position. We have not taught the flip into the heel yet. That is probably something, I think today is Thursday, she goes home on Sunday, so I think that's probably something we'll start tomorrow to help clear up some of that confusion that she has here. But in the start of the heel, I am just worried about like the walking part, because most owners don't really care if their dog will flip into the heel, they just care while they're walking. So I tend to create a lot of reward history in that position first, because that is what's going to be beneficial at home more than anything. And you can see she would be a great dog to teach an attention heel to and things, because she is already kind of offering that nice head position. So it would be really easy to capture that and then just add in the point of contact, and then you have a nice little attention heel going on. When you're training your dog to heel, don't forget about left turns, or if they're heeling on the right, don't forget about right turns. Turning into the dog is really beneficial, because you can see here she got in front of me and me turning kind of checked her position there. She's learning to move around me and pay attention. And you notice I don't walk in a straight line a whole lot. Like I do have spans of walking in a straight line like here, but I do throw in a lot of turns and things to keep her mind occupied, because typically on the walks the dog gets kind of bored, and so they start checking out and then they start pulling because they're interested in other things. This is just Kynlee having the zoomies. I just thought that this was hilarious, and I thought that her parents would love to see that she's having a great time. She's just doing her thing out here. Usually at night I'm letting her kind of just run around on her own in the yard. Obviously, I'm out there supervising, but I do want to make sure that she's getting time to decompress and run around and do things she wants to do. Okay, so this is our first session outside of the yard. So this one's going to be a little bit rough in the beginning, and I wanted to leave in this beginning part of our training session so you can see the difference of when she starts realizing what's going on. So this beginning part, yes, it is very messy. It's very rough. I am, pulling on the leash a lot. You can see she's checking out. She's sniffing. She really doesn't care. She's not even taking food right now. You can see I keep offering it, and she doesn't want it. That's totally fine. And I did check the temperature of the pavement, of course, before I brought a dog out, just to be safe. I don't want that to be a factor in my training. But I can tell in this session that this is just new, and she's just trying to figure out what she's supposed to be doing. Dogs think in the context of pictures very often, and so when you change the picture drastically, like I would say this is pretty different than what my backyard looks like. There's grass here, and my backyard is literally just dirt because my dogs have destroyed it. But all jokes aside, this is very different for her. We have a whole different environment happening. So here, I'm trying to remind her heel, getting her back in that position. Once she's there, you can see at this point she is starting to figure out what the right answer is. She gets a little bit stuck up here in my driveway because it does smell like my dogs, because that's where we load up the car and stuff. But not all sessions are going to look like finished products. You know, if the dog came out and looked perfectly fine, then the dog wouldn't really need, you know, training. So I think it's important to include clips like this where the dog is really struggling, and you can see there, I just turned. She's struggling to pay attention to me. So the issue here isn't that she's pulling on the leash, it's that she's got a little bit of an attention issue happening. And that's why when she starts checking out, you see a lot of times all I do is I just turn. And if she hits the end of the leash, she's kind of giving herself her own consequence. So instead of me micromanaging and, you know, having to sit there and correct, she's learning that if I pay attention, I don't feel that leash at all. But as soon as I check out, that person that's walking me, they're going to do something crazy. So I want her to learn to kind of focus in on the handler versus focusing in on the environment. And she likes, you know, she does like affection and things. She's a very sweet dog. So I do, you know, when I give my termination marker of YES, I'm spelling that because my dog is currently in front of me while I'm petting her, recording this. But when I give my termination marker, I do kind of make it a big deal and give her pets and hugs and rubbings and stuff. She's still figuring that out. So she is not, you know, super well versed on that termination marker yet, but that will come with repetition and things. And then we practice some sit stays at the end of this too. Her sit is very, very strong. That's me showing you that this is still just her dog food, nothing special. Her sit stay is really strong. Her parents have done a great job training that. I just wanted to brush up on the stay portion of it, just because this is a new environment and there is different things happening. And so I wanted to check that skill, make sure it was going pretty good still, and remind her that still is an option for me to throw at her. So you can see, compared to the beginning of this video, you can see a pretty big difference in Kynlee here. She is much more attentive. Of course, here she's not being, but that's okay. You know, the dogs are not perfect, and this is also our very first session working out here. So the last time she was out in this area of my yard was when she was being dropped off. And, you know, even then I had her parents park in my driveway, so she really hasn't had a whole lot of exposure out here. And I want her to learn that, you know, the heel, when I say heel, is always the same exact thing. And that's actually going to bring a lot of confidence to the dog if you're consistent in your obedience. They know that, you know, there could be bombs falling right now, and heel will still mean to walk by my left leg and pay attention. So, you know, it is very, very good to work through that sticky part of the training session, and tell the dog, hey, like, I don't care if this is different. Your job is still always your job. And, you know, there is a little bit of a gray area when you decide if the session is going to be too much for the dog to expect that, versus like what we had here where it was something we could work through. And I think working through that would benefit the dog. But if she came out and was like tail tucked, cowering, and which I don't see this dog really doing that, but, you know, if she was absolutely losing her stuff, and this is me just checking her sit stay, you know, then I would say this would be too much of a session for her. But because she, you know, wasn't giving those behaviors, she was literally just being a little bit of a brat, I know that we can work through that, and it benefits her in the end, even though she had that small bit of uncomfortability at the beginning.
Yes, good girl. Yeah. Good job. All done.